Good morning, good morning, good morning to you. I'm happy, happy to see you. Good morning. Hello, everybody. What's new, pussycat? Whoa. Hi. So, last night, I went and saw the new Ben Stiller action comedy, Tropic Thunder. And here's my thoughts. Okay? I don't love doing movie reviews by myself, but I will today. Here's what I think. I think that overall, Tropic Thunder is a very, very good movie. It's highly entertaining. You can see that a lot of money has been spent on this movie, and it's worthwhile. And it's very funny when it's very funny. Sometimes I feel like it lacks some of its comedy, and here's what I'm thinking. I think the mistake with this movie was that Ben Stiller directed it himself. That's the mistake that I think was made. I think this movie should have been directed by, like, a Joel Schumacher. I think this movie should have been directed by a huge action director and let these comedic geniuses do what they do in between it, in the middle of this action movie. That's my thought. Maybe I should have directed it. What I'm saying is, sometimes I think it gets absurd, and I don't think it has to be absurd to be funny. Like, I think it's, obvious. Okay, look, I'm not going to spoil anything. I will tell you this. Robert Downey Jr. steals the movie. He is so funny in this movie that he's worth the price of admission alone because he is so funny in this movie. He's so funny. And let's see. Well, okay, and here's the problem. The problem is that it can be, like, there's so many plots within this movie that the problem is that it starts absurd and has to build to real. It has to build to a realism. And the problem is that Stiller heightens his absurdity, his character's absurdity. It's mostly his character that gets really absurd. And that's where it lacks momentum, because it isn't that realistic. Because just when you start to get into it, and it's funny because it's so, these eccentric characters are getting real for the first time in their lives, these Hollywood characters, Ben Stiller's character gets weirder and weirder as opposed to more and more real, and that would have been funnier. And I think that had he not directed it himself, he would have seen that was going to happen, and I'm sorry about that, because he ended up making his character the least interesting. And I think that happens a lot when directors direct themselves. When actors direct themselves, they end up making their characters the least interesting. I think that's a common occurrence with actor-turned-directors. Jack Black's really good. He's underused. Okay, I have a confession to make. I auditioned for Jack Black's part, so I have a bit of a bias, I guess. But the truth is, I don't think I mean, obviously, I auditioned in a way that, like, only in Hollywood. You audition, basically, the kind of thing happens, like Matt made a good point. He said, they probably got Jack Black a little bit cheaper because you auditioned for the part. Because, essentially, they have auditions so that a breakdown goes out, because they probably had an offer out to Jack Black, and then they have auditions so that Jack Black goes, oh, wait, I'm not going to get, they don't want me for this role. Well, maybe I should do it for a little bit cheaper. If they're going to go to a nobody who then will become a huge star, and then will take my career. Get it? See how it works? So there was no way I was ever going to be in that movie, and I knew that auditioning. But that said, I did audition, and actually it was one of the best auditions of my life. And they cut a lot of his stuff out. Like, a lot of the stuff I auditioned with isn't even in the movie anymore. which is really unfortunate because that part was much funnier, but I think it was a little too heavy because Jack Black plays this guy named Jeff Portnoy, who's a huge heroin addict, and I think that I remember when I read the script and when I auditioned, I felt like it was really dark. It was funny, but it was really dark comedy, and I think they probably took a lot of it out because they needed to lighten it up. I think that's why Jack Black's part is smaller than it would have been if they had done a different rewrite. And then, okay, so there's Matthew McConaughey stepped in for Owen Wilson, you know, on this movie. There's a lot of stuff that happened on this movie because it was during this movie that Owen Wilson tried to kill himself. So, Matthew McConaughey stepped in to play his role, and I think he does a really good job. I think he's really good in this movie, actually. It's nice to see him play something a little different, frankly. Excuse me. Then, here's the thing. Something so spectacular happens in this movie, and I have 2 words for you. Thomas Cruise. Whoa. I mean, he's done some weird things, people. Thomas Cruise has done some strange things. We all know that. But what he does in this movie is so awkward and so strange and mind-blowingly entertaining to watch him just go for it that I can't even begin. The last moments of this movie, some of the weirdest things I've ever seen in my life. And I, like, hilarious, but I couldn't even laugh because it was so bizarre to see what was happening. And, you know, I applaud him. He goes for it. But wow, Tom Cruise, you are a crazy face. Again, let me say, the movie is really good. It's shot really well. I have another bone to pick with this movie, and that's that Bruce Dern, my good friend, should have played Nick Nolte's role, and Ben Stiller knows it, and just get that off my chest. But I won't dwell on it because I don't want to speak for other people, and yada yada yada. But that said, bad business. Poorly handled business. Anyways, I love you all. Nina gets back today. She'll be on the show tomorrow. I know some very exciting things have happened while she was in New York. She has lots to tell you about. And that's all. That's all. Goodbye. And Thunder Road.